Hey everyone, Midits here. I've had this video in the back of my mind by the Black Lion, where he made an expanded version of the MCU, where Marvel had the rights to all their characters. This video inspired me to make something similar, and the only franchise that could truly rival Marvel and DC in terms of iconic characters is Nintendo. In this 3-part series, I'll go through each phase and create a Nintendo cinematic universe. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and let's get straight into this. Now here's some ground rules before we begin. This is a big one, and I had to set this limit for myself, otherwise this would be nearly impossible. I will not be including any third-party characters. If they are owned or co-owned by Nintendo, that's fine, but this decision makes this series much easier. Seriously, what would I even call the Final Fantasy VII movie? It's the first Final Fantasy movie, but Final Fantasy is a different game. Anyway, you can imagine this series starts in whatever year. It could be that Nintendo creates a cinematic universe in 2023, or Kevin Feige in another universe is a huge Nintendo fan. It's not particularly important. Let's finally head to Phase 1. There's no better film to begin this with than Super Mario Bros. The general story beats will honestly be pretty similar to the 2023 film, as it does a pretty good job of setting up some of the characters we will need. We're introduced to the Mario Brothers, the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser, and Donkey Kong. You can also have the post-credit scene teasing Yoshi, like in the official film. Since there's a real-world counterpart to this movie, I don't have much to say about the story, so let's move on to the next movie released this year. That movie is Pokemon Red and Blue. The story would adapt the original Kanto games and follow Red as he travels through the Kanto region collecting gym badges, battling his rival Blue, and encountering the evil Team Rocket. Red has had quite a few Pokemon teams, but something along the lines of his Johto team is what I want to see, especially since Pikachu will be a key player very soon. Lastly, the third movie of this year would be Kirby. This would be a standard introductory film where Dedede steals all the food in Dreamland, and Kirby, along with Frenzy Mix along the way, must stop him. It could be fun seeing Kirby's powers at full display, and just how creative Kirby's abilities can be. Since Meta Knight appears in the very first Kirby game, he would also be introduced here and fight Kirby, but he will play a more significant role in later films. While the story isn't monumental or anything, Kirby is once again an important character we need to set up. Now, 3 films in 1 year is quite a bit, and I'm not making this video with the expectation that would be realistic. The following year will only have 1 movie. This film would be Star Fox. The story will follow the original Star Fox team of Fox, Falco, Peppy, and Slippy as they defend the Lylat system from the main antagonist, the evil scientist Andros. While Star Fox is the least popular franchise this phase, I could see this one having a lot of potential if the dynamic between the main 4 is done right. Overall, I really enjoy how unique the stories of these films are so far, because I imagine it would be a lot harder to feel fatigued when everything is so different from each other. Although heading back to something more similar, the next year we would get the Mario sequel. While I am excited for the recently announced Galaxy movie, I would prefer to get a movie titled Super Mario World first. This would introduce Yoshi, who was set up in the previous Mario film. While he could appear in this film, I would hold off on making Bowser the main villain, instead introducing Wario and Waluigi. Since Mario and Luigi became famous in the real world after the events of the first film, the Wario brothers try to make some money by imitating them. They end up going way over their heads though, as they end up in the Mushroom Earth and become a powerful force that the Mario brothers need to stop. Wario first appeared in the Super Mario Land series, and there's a world map in the 2023 film that shows a desert region that could be Sarasaland, so Daisy could also be a part of the movie and interact with Luigi. This movie introduces a lot of characters and greatly expands the larger world of the Mario series, and it's also great to catch up with major characters such as Mario so quickly, especially as we build up to the culmination of this phase. Speaking of which, let's move on to the second movie of the year, an especially important one, Metroid. This movie would follow the basic plot of the first game, as Samus travels through the planet Zebes to prevent the duplication of a dangerous alien species called Metroids. Samus will face multiple threats such as Kraid, Ridley, and eventually Mother Brain as we watch Samus become progressively more powerful across the film. While I doubt that it will be to the level of the original game, it would be incredible if we at least got a bit of a more eerie tone in this film, and even if this wouldn't be a surprise to most Nintendo fans, it would be fun if Samus stayed in the suit for nearly the entire movie, and we get to see what she looks like without the helmet after escaping Zebes. Although obviously, we're still going to get a pretty good read of her character through the obstacles she faces, and we can learn more about her past in future installments. We're making good progress so far through this phase, and we're going to get really close to bringing things together the following year. This year will have 3 films, first being a Pokemon sequel titled Pokemon Gold and Silver. As you can assume from the title, this will be adapting the Generation 2 games, as Gold will be the main protagonist. Gold will travel across the Johto region, dealing with his rival Silver and battling the remaining parts of Team Rocket after Giovanni's disappearance. With this movie and the previous one, it would be fun to see some details that originated from other media. A major one that would have to be addressed here is that Silver is Giovanni's son, which wasn't confirmed in the games until the Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes. Gold becomes champion, similar to how Red did at the end of the first film, but then we see a quick montage of Gold facing off against the gym leaders from the first film. It all leads up to Gold trekking through Mount Silver, and the movie ends with a final fight between him and Red. To set this up, maybe Gold encounters Red's Pikachu during his journey, but not Red himself. Red then learns about Gold from Pikachu and prepares for their fight. I definitely feel like this is important since, if I keep the story as it currently is, there isn't much of a way to introduce Pikachu in the narrative. There are 2 more films this year, so let's move forward. Next up is another sequel, and you will start seeing that I have gaps in my knowledge when it comes to some series. I want Marks as the main antagonist, although he doesn't really have any appearances as a villain in the games, so the movie will be called Kirby's Return to Dreamland, but will have a plot along the lines of Kirby Superstar. The Sun and Moon will be fighting, just normal Kirby stuff, and Marks will befriend Kirby and convince him and his allies to summon Galactic Nova to stop this. If you aren't aware, Galactic Nova can give its summoner a single wish. Kirby travels to multiple planets alongside Marks, and some rebels from the first movie such as Meta Knight and even King Dedede to find the Galactic Nova. In the end, Marks will betray Kirby and attempt to use the Galactic Nova to become ruler of Kirby's home planet, Popstar. Kirby will then destroy Nova's heart, defeating it alongside Marks. While I had to make some deviations of this film, I feel like it's a solid continuation of Kirby's story and world building. The last movie of the year is a pretty big one, and it's a film you've definitely been expecting, The Legend of Zelda. Now, there have been a lot of iterations of this series, so I had to think for a bit about what to do. I decided to adapt Ocarina of Time, although the film would just be called The Legend of Zelda. We'd follow a young Link who leaves the Kokiri Forest and meets a young Princess Zelda, who believes that Ganondorf plans on stealing the Triforce. Ganondorf then kidnaps Zelda, and Link enters the Temple of Time, as it's the only option he has left. Link pulls out the Master Sword, and Ganondorf manages to get the Triforce, as Link was frozen in the Temple of Time for 7 years until he was worthy of the blade. Although luckily for Link, the Triforce was split into 3 parts when Ganondorf acquired it. Ganondorf receives the Triforce power, Zelda receives wisdom, and Link receives courage. Link manages to defeat Ganondorf, who at the end turns to his monster Ganon form, along with some help from Zelda. Zelda will then send Link back to the past in the movie, where Link first met Zelda, and he proves that Zelda is correct about Ganondorf's plan, which will lead to his imprisonment. Link then travels away from Hyrule Castle in Epona, but will surely return if he is needed. Ocarina of Time feels like a pretty solid starting point for a Zelda series, and I feel like there's enough room to adapt some games so that they fit narratively, even if they're originally different versions of the characters. Now, as we move on to the next year, we have finally reached the moment this has been building up to. There are 2 movies in the final year of Phase 1, with the main focus being on Super Smash Bros. The story doesn't have to be anything complex. The main draw is that all these characters are interacting for the first time. Speaking of which, while we may see the appearances of side characters from previous films in the beginning, the main cast will be the original 8 Smash Bros. Fighters of Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, and Pikachu. If you want to compare it to the MCU, I would say that Mario, Link, and Samus would be the Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor in terms of importance. Regarding the narrative, Master Hand will be introduced as the main antagonist. He will pull the various characters from their worlds and force them to fight each other for his entertainment. There are a bunch of fun matches we could see between these 8 characters. Kirby could replicate people's powers. I do want to mention that Link will be older, as it would set up his next film. And also, I would love to see Samus and Pikachu interact, because their moments together in Brawl were incredible. Eventually, the main cast will realize that there's no need for them to fight each other, so they break the rules of the game and work together to defeat Master Hand. After this, the characters would interact with each other one final time, until they head back to their own worlds. Once again, the plot is very simple, but the interactions between these characters will definitely sell the movie. Especially since some of them have already had multiple appearances to be built up, and they come from such incredibly different backgrounds. While this is the narrative culmination of Phase 1, there's still one film left that acts as a nice epilogue. While this game didn't come out until 2017, and I'm not going to be doing the exact adaptation of this game, Star Fox 2 is a pretty fitting title for a sequel. While Andros will be a looming presence over this film, being the mastermind behind the scenes, the primary focus will be on the Star Wolf team. Learn about the rivalry between their leader, Wolf, and Fox. Wolf's teammates, Leon, Andrew, and Pigma, will have one-on-one encounters with the other members of the Star Fox team. I obviously don't want it to play an important part in the story, but it would be nice to hear Fox mention the events of the Smash movie in some small references. In the end, Andros' plans will be stopped again, and while they are most certainly not on good terms, the Star Fox and Star Wolf team will have a newfound respect for each other. This is the end of Phase 1 of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. In this first section, we introduced the primary protagonists of the franchises, got to see some of them multiple times, and brought everything together in one massive crossover. There are a lot more franchises left to be introduced, as we've only touched the surface of what Nintendo has to offer. But that will all be revealed in the next video in this series. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out some of my other content. If you really did, subscribe so that you know when future content comes out. That's gonna be it for now, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care!